What good would it be if we didn't have like some extra crap going on? What fun would that be? I think I'm adding her. There she is. All right, let me go do this now. All right. Right. What fun would it be like if everything just worked?
Hey, that's jazz, right?
No, you gotta make it exciting for the people. You know what I mean?
That's what it's all about. It's all about improvisation and what you do on the fly. So we're here. That's all that matters.
I was saying to Isabel, I was like, I talked to her for 5 minutes, and I feel like I know her.
Yeah, we
uh,
got. I'm so excited for tomorrow night. It's gonna be great.
yeah, no, you couldn't find the good drummer, so I guess I'll play with
Oh,
you until we
yeah,
get that together.
absolutely, absolutely.
So you went to two schools? Am I
Yeah.
understanding that correct?
So I went to
Okay.
Howard University, where I received my Bachelor of Music, Jazz Studies, Voice Performance, and then I took 2 years away from school and just lived life. And then in 2020, I went to Manhattan School of Music, where I studied jazz studies as well.
Who did you study with at Howard, and then who did you study with at Manhattan?
I was a member of Afro Blue, which is like the premier vocal jazz ensemble. So I studied with Sinatra Miller as well as Cyrus Chestnut, who played a little bit with Betty Carter. And then when I came to Manhattan School of Music, I studied with Mark Carey, Jean Baylor, who is like
Yeah, Jean's great.
she's one of my favorite people in this entire world. I studied with Damien Sneed, who was actually the person that invited me to audition for Manhattan School of Music. So those are my three faculty folks that kind of took me. Oh my goodness, and Buster Williams.
Oh yeah,
Buster Williams. I can't forget
from
about
my
Buster.
hometown.
Yeah. Buster is like my grandpa. So
Oh,
the
that's
four
beautiful.
folks really fostered me and kind of took me underneath their wing and allowed me to learn and glean from them. So.
Okay, so I heard you say Betty Carter. Who are some of your influences, and who made you want to come over here and do jazz? You could have done, and we'll talk about. I know you love hip hop, R and
Yeah.
B is popular, neo soul. There's all kind of things you could have gotten involved in. How did you get to jazz?
Yeah, so I actually got to jazz out of it's kind of a terrible story, but grew up in the church. My dad's a pastor, so grew up singing. And
I know a guy with that story.
yeah, it's a great story to have. And so I grew up in church. I knew it was time to apply for colleges, and I was really dead set on going to Howard University. And to be honest, I did not want to study classical music or Western European classical music. And I was like, oh, jazz? Okay, cool. But it wasn't until I actually saw Cécile McLorin Salvant. She came to a venue in DC called Six and I saw her in live for the first time. And it really changed my outlook and my perspective on jazz and what jazz is and what jazz means to us as Black people. And so she has continued to be a pillar and someone that I really, really admire. Abby Lincoln is someone else whom I truly love. Working with Mark Carey at MSM, we did a lot of her tunes because he also played for her. And so,
As did I.
oh my, I know that.
Yeah, I'm old. I worked with a lot of people.
That's incredible. That's a blessing. I love Abby's work, everything about her and what she stood for and the music and how she just placed herself in the music and allowed herself to be like, fully enveloped by it is love
Yeah,
it.
she was an amazing lady. So okay, so you got Abby, you said Betty.
Mhm.
Who do you say you're most? How can I say it? Who are you most comparable to in that respect?
Huh.
Like if someone is trying to hear what you sound like, other than watching as I watched the thing you did with Joel Ross, who's super talented, who we plan on having. Um, Other than watching that, if they just wanted to go into their mental Rolodex, who would you say you're like? I know that's a hard one.
Yeah, I would say that the folks I think I guess would sound the most similar to would be my mentors, and that would be Jean Baylor and Christy Dashiell. They were the two people that I just, because I am underneath them and because I, work with them, it's like almost a sponge where I kind of just absorb everything that they've done and how they approach the music. So it would absolutely be my big sister and my auntie.
Oh, nice. I love it. So you went to all this school. Do you play a musical instrument? I know you sent me some of the music and you composed some of it. Can you talk about that?
Yeah.
Because to be young and to be writing, that's a little bit too much putting myself out there. I like being behind the drums and the cymbals,
It's hard. It's definitely hard, but I try to, I write music from an experience that I have. I'm really big on storytelling. I love threading and, weaving together songs that have a general theme or, an arc about them. And so the music that I write, it always comes from an experience that I've had, or it always comes from something that is near and dear to my heart. So for instance, one song that I've written, I'm a hopeless romantic, unfortunately.
Oh, nice.
And
Keep
so,
hope alive.
but I also grew up in the church. And so I wrote a song that was based on the scripture, love is patient, love is kind. It just outlines that. So yeah, a lot of the music that I write has to be personal to me in some aspect, and that's how I'm able to really tap into it. So
Right. Yeah. And hopefully you never reach that point where songs become too hard to perform. I've worked with singers and musicians that do that. A song was so spot on that I don't do that song anymore.
yeah.
We were talking about your influences, and one of my biggest influences and one of my favorite musicians I've ever had the pleasure to work with, and I bought some drums from her. You worked with the great Jerry Allen.
Yeah, well, kind of. So
How did that?
as a member of Afro Blue, we did a lot of work with Jerry Allen because she's an alum of Howard University. So the group that I was in did a lot of work with her. I unfortunately was unable to be on the gigs that they did in tandem with her. But I did attend her, she did an all-female jazz residency up at Rutgers. And 2017 was the first year I did it. And that was the year that she transitioned, unfortunately. So while I wasn't able to meet her, her imprint has been something that I have been able and blessed to feel through Howard, through the connections that I've made at Rutgers. It has just been something that is just so tangible, even though she isn't here. Her significance and her importance as a Black woman playing this music, it's just something that I still feel. And so
She's so for real.
Yeah.
So for real. I had the pleasure. I worked with Charlie Hayden for many years, and they were collaborators. And so after Charlie passed, which was already emotional, we played at Poison Rouge for the what's the Winter Jazz Fest.
Okay.
And she was the guest artist, and I had worked with her before in a couple of instances, and so I was looking forward to talking to her. She did the sound check, they whisked her away, and then she just appeared on stage for the gig. I didn't know, and no one told us that she was sick.
Yeah.
And that was the last time I'd seen her. But she was, man, the times I worked for her, the things she asked me to do, both her and Betty Carter asked me to do things that they were some of the only people that asked me to do things that I thought were really hard. I almost couldn't do.
Yeah.
Just the exposing of yourself or the digging deeper. Or, I know I heard Tony play that. I don't want to hear that. I heard Elvin play that. I don't want to hear that. That kind of stuff, super, super helpful with that. But now you're working with some of the young legends.
Yeah. I'm thankful to have
Joe Ross and Sean Mason.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What's the connection there?
Yes, so is an organization that's based out of Harlem called the Soapbox Presents.
Uh-huh.
And you may be familiar with them because they'll do block parties. They'll literally take up a block in Harlem. They're called stoop sessions. And it's just a party out in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
Really a great time and a really communal moment for Harlem. And so the Soapbox Presents, they partnered with Mahogany L. Brown, who is an incredible poet. She is the resident poet at the Lincoln Center right now. And they basically were commissioned to create music that was based on her poetry. And so we did the performance in May. I believe it was like Cinco de Mayo. And
I'm sure that was
it
awesome.
was incredible. It was such a
You didn't call me? You didn't call me to come check it out or nothing?
Next time. But the response to the program was so incredible that they just supported it. And so that album comes out in February, I believe, and it features all of the compositions were done by Sean Mason, and the band is like all stars. It is Damo Branch on drums, Russell
Nice.
bass, Joel Ross came in, Anthony Hervey is in there, Stacey Diller came in for a song, Akep Nkwele, who is one of my best friends and sisters. She is taking the community by storm right now. She's a vocalist. So that comes out in February, and that is something that I think once everyone hears it, it's gonna be one of the ones.
So one of the things we're doing here at the club is getting people like yourself, that we see you're going somewhere. Mm-hmm. We're not just trying to invest in the legends. We're trying to find people. This is what me and the team, Mimi and all, we talked about, finding people on the way so that people can afford to see you, because in 5 years, maybe you'll be like Samara and we can't even afford you, can't get you to do anything. So I don't want to hold up your time. I know we took a long time to get started. What do you see for yourself in the next 5 years or so? And what should people know about you? And why do people need to come see this show, which is tomorrow night, if you don't know, tomorrow night at Brush Culture, 482 Cedar Lane, Teaneck, New Jersey. Show starts at 8. We got one at 8, one at 9:30, with a great band that I'm leading, working with Miss Jillian here. But what should they know about you? Where do you see yourself going? What's next? Oh, and before I forget, I wanted to say, when you're talking about writing, you got that publishing right?
The publishing right. Yeah.
Get it right. Okay, yes. Just make sure you write great songs.
We get it together.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say get the business right. But
listen, it is. I'm learning more and more every day. So yes, thank you. Where do I see myself in 5 years? 5 years, I see myself being this culmination of all of these things that I love. So I love performance, but I also love analysis and research. I love Black American music. I love jazz. I love hip hop. I love gospel. And so in 5 years from now, hopefully sooner than that, Lord willing, I see myself living at these different intersections and thriving in them. So being able to lecture and, talk about these intrinsic connections between jazz and hip hop, and then also being able to sing about it, and also being able to sing and be effective in storytelling. Like I said earlier, storytelling is something that I truly hold near and dear to my life, and allowing lyrics to come to life, and not just be words on a piece of paper. And so come tomorrow night. Hopefully you'll hear you'll hear some incredible storytelling. You'll have some good times. We're gonna have a good time. Yeah. It's gonna be a great time.
That's definitely what we believe in doing. But real quick before we stop, hip hop, as a vocalist, when I saw that you were big on hip hop, I was wondering where the connection is for you as a vocalist. Like, do you see yourself doing spoken word, poetry, rapping, or are you singing hooks, or where was the real connection there?
Yeah, so I grew up in the church. I consider myself to be a late bloomer when it comes to hip hop. I didn't grow. Um, I
Now, what do you call late?
I was in the 7th grade, so
Okay.
like middle school is when I finally like, oh, what is this? I'm not a rapper or anything of that sort. I don't claim to be a rapper. I would embarrass myself.
Oh, you should hear me.
Listen, you can do a lot better than I can. But I in some of my performances as a nod back to that storytelling aspect, I will say scriptures, or I will say prayers, or I will, say poetry in between songs to kind of have that thread going. That is my kind of nod to hip hop. But there's one thing I did do on a performance a while back. There is a song by Kendrick Lamar. It's my favorite song by Kendrick. It's called Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. And the song was actually sampled by a jazz guitarist named Grant Green. And so what my band and I ended up doing was we started with the Grant Green song and we sang it down, and then we eventually made our way into the Kendrick song. And so I'll do little things like that as my nod to hip hop. Yeah, it's such an art form that I hold so near and dear to who I am and what I am, and it just, I love it. I love it. Not I don't love
Yeah,
it.
no, I mean,
I know my lane.
yeah, yeah. It's I think it's going to be crucial for people like yourself to find those connections in order for us to develop a younger audience. So much of our audience is an older crowd for jazz. And then when we attack jazz attack hip hop from a jazz background, we're trying to be hip hop artists. I think there's another way to do it, and that's what it sounds like you're doing. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night.
Oh, yes, thank you so much. Can't wait.
I think it's going to be amazing. So, folks, you can get your tickets on the website for Brush Culture. Shows are at 8 and 9:30, 482 Cedar Lane, Teaneck, New Jersey. I'm Rodney Green, and this is Jillian Grace. I'm going to have a great show tomorrow. Look forward to seeing you there. Thank you, Jillian.
Take care. See you tomorrow night.
All right. Bye-bye.